Okay, today we're going to have some fun. We're going to look at some mean comments. Most comments that we get from you guys are very supportive, very nice, very interested in the science and everything, great. But every once in a while, there's a dagger. So here are some of the meanest, nastiest comments we've ever gotten. Go back to school, clown. Seed oils are made in a factory, and we just started eating them. It's all poison. You moron. So much anger, so much passion. I love it. Yes, seed oils are made in a factory, and we didn't have them in the Paleolithic. That's all true. But that doesn't tell me if they're poison or healthy. I have no idea. I have no opinion on the effect of any food until I see some evidence. The result of tests, what actually happens in human beings consuming A, B, or C. And then I have an opinion. The thing that sometimes doesn't get across is our videos are not dietary guidelines. The goal is not to tell you what to do. The goal is to look at what science we have and try to figure out the facts. And then you can do with that whatever you want. You can take it, you can leave it, you can ignore it, or you can hate it. Why should I trust you? You're fat, your gut sticks out, you look overweight, you clearly don't practice what you preach. Woo! Going for the jugular. So this one is a little older. We fished this back. I used to get this more a couple years ago. I don't get it anymore. Regular viewers know about this. A couple of years ago, 2021, my mother had cancer, a very difficult period here, and I was the main caretaker. And so there was no time to sleep or forget working out or eating healthy. So I put on a lot of weight. I was the fattest I've ever been in my life. But here's the thing about this logic. My mom beat cancer. Our lives went back to normal-ish. And so I could sleep again. I could pay attention to what I was eating and go to the gym and work out. Have a normal, healthy life. And I lost the weight fairly easily. But the science didn't change fundamentally. So according to this logic, the science was right when I was lean before the cancer. Then during the cancer period, I put on weight, so the science was wrong then. And then I lost the weight, and now the science is right again. You see, it makes no sense. And this is such dangerous logic for the people thinking like this. I worry a lot when I see someone thinking along these lines. This is like a Joe Rogan type thing. I've heard him say stuff like this. RFK looks fitter than Peter Hotez. RFK looks like he works out, he's buffer. So I trust him to give me vaccine information over the vaccinologists. Are you serious? This is an insane argument. This is suicidal stuff. If you have cancer, do you want an oncologist who's been in the hospital his whole life treating cancer and is out of shape? Or do you want an Instagram model that's got ripped six-pack abs and is going to tell you to do a juice detox? Are you kidding me? Influencers will suck you dry if you think like this. If you fall for this type of logic, they will come for you for every penny. So when you see a guru, and sometimes they're MDs, which is insane, using this type of logic, trying to manipulate with this type of thing, this person looks fitter, so what they say must be right, and the science of this guy must be wrong. Run. My God, have you become a meat shill now? This is pretty common. We see this a lot. You're a meat shill, you're just a vegan shill, you're just a pharma shill. Sometimes in the same video, we'll get meat shill and dairy shill and vegan shill in the same video, like a few comments apart. So I've learned from experience that shill, all it means is an internet code that means this person said something positive about something I don't like. That's all that shill means. So in the same video where I'm talking about the evidence on a Mediterranean diet, an ethical vegan will see a meat shill and a meat bro will see a vegan shill. I think the most empowering approach is to focus less on this emotional aspect of what this guy is saying. Does that match my personal preference or not? My personal worldview, and more on, is this person accurate? Yes or no? Does the evidence back them up? Do the facts back him up? And you'll learn a lot going through that. I know I do. You're just a Rockefeller doctor, shilling meds. You want to keep us sick to make your money. Seriously, F all of you. Jesus. There's a lot of anger there. Honestly, I never take these personally because it's very obvious that this isn't really about me individually, right? This is about the worldview that this person has and how they pigeonhole me based on what they're hearing. The first time I saw this, I didn't even know what this Rockefeller doctor thing was, and I looked it up. And it's something about pharma and money in pharma and money kind of controlling medicine. So it's a whole view of medicine being run by conflicts of interest, by financial COIs. Personally, I have zero financial COIs. I've never made a cent from pharma or any other product or food or supplement or anything else. I don't care. I don't have a horse in the race. And this thing about the establishment versus the anti-establishment, it seems to be a very powerful thing nowadays. I don't see the world like this. To me, honestly, this doesn't even make sense. The establishment is right about some things. It's completely spectacularly wrong about other things. And the anti-establishment, whatever we understand by that, sometimes makes good points, sometimes makes terrible points. So for me, it's less about which side of this battle the person is in, or I perceive them as being, and more about what is factual. What are the facts? How can I figure out what's true? And how can I improve my life based on that? And then this idea that the science is all bought, doctors are all bought. There's money for sure, like in any business. But most doctors want the best for their patients. Very few doctors are psychopaths. I've met thousands and thousands of doctors and scientists in my whole life, and most are idealistic and well-intentioned. And I wish there was less industry funding for research. I wish the NIH or some government agency funded more research. In a perfect world, all the research would be funded by independent sources. But the reality is, it's not as big a deal as people make it out to be. Yes, with an isolated study, sometimes it's a bit misleading. But when you look at how the study is done, and when you look at the whole field, big picture, the truth is we know a lot. And funding doesn't deviate an entire field, not when you know what to look for. You're just an idiot. My diet is mostly butter and bacon, and my LDL is 290. And since I started doing that, I've lost weight and I feel great. You're an indoctrinated idiot, liar, moron, F you. Seriously. I'm glad when people say they feel better. That's great. Realize there's no contradiction between feeling better and evidence that we tend to look at, scientific evidence of dietary patterns. On one hand, there's individual variability, right? Even things that are well established as raising risk of disease, they don't affect every single individual. Many smokers never get lung cancer. So it's always possible that one individual is the lucky guy that gets away with exposure to a risk factor or an unhealthy practice. And that doesn't negate the fact that for a lot of other people, it's not going to be a good idea. The other thing to bear in mind is short-term versus long-term. You can feel great on a diet, especially if you lose weight. It doesn't mean it's not raising risk of disease long-term, chronic disease, heart disease, cancer, Alzheimer's, etc. So there's no contradiction between the anecdote and the scientific evidence. I sincerely hope when I hear a story like this that this is one of the guys that's going to get away with it. I really, really do. This is confusing. This is not nutrition made simple. You're oversimplifying. This is nutrition oversimplified. Simple is right. You're leaving out all of the details, man.
This is one of the most common pieces of feedback we get, that it's too simple or not simple enough. And I take it very seriously. I have to prioritize the folks who think it's too complicated. I have to try to simplify more, because those are the folks who need the most help, and that's where I potentially can have the most impact. I know we have a lot of viewers who are doctors and scientists and dietitians, and I love that you guys are here and give me feedback, and we have an ongoing back and forth. But you are the folks who need the least help. So we have to prioritize making content that is helpful for folks who don't have any scientific training. And then if we can add some nuggets to make it interesting for folks who are more advanced, great. But we have to serve those folks who need the most help. You're definitely in the pocket of Big Pharma. You shill. There we go, the shill thing. You know, it's funny, if I talk about some trial showing benefit of a drug, someone will say pharma shill in the comments. But when I talk about trials showing benefits of supplements, nobody says supplement shill. Why? It's basically the same industry, both for profit, both multi-billion. And if anything, supplements are much less regulated. I don't trust Big Pharma any farther than I can throw them. But I try to be consistent. I don't trust Big Pharma. I don't trust Big Supplement. I don't trust Big Meat, Big Dairy, Big Broccoli, Big Seed Oil. I don't trust any of them. Don't trust, verify. I want to see the evidence. Does your product have evidence to back it up consistently across populations conducted by different people or not? Why aren't your mouth and your nose at the right place? I love that. Aren't they supposed to be on the face? I didn't know they were supposed to be on the elbow. They're not in the right place. Yeah, sometimes you'll get this, like something is the ear is not where it should be, or the haircut's not right. People have very strong views. This is something you notice more when you first start making videos, and somebody says something about your forehead, and you're like, "Oh, is there something wrong with them?" Because you've never heard that before. But after a while, this basically stops registering. Or sometimes a viewer will try to diagnose you with something. Your skin looks this, so you are lacking a nutrient, you're lacking this vitamin. Your eye is looking over there, so you're lacking some mineral. Most of the time, those make no sense. But they're often people mean well. Advice for influencers starting out: if you have thin skin, don't become a YouTuber. At least not in nutrition, which is very emotional. But if this type of thing rolls right off your back and if you find it somewhat entertaining, then go for it. And also, don't be too self-conscious. If somebody dismisses your entire argument based on something about how you look, they were never listening in the first place. You're pushing dairy. It's garbage. You're a fraud. Yeah, this is basically a version of the dairy shill, pharma shill. When we discuss scientific evidence, we go over the trials, we see what science we have or don't have. That's not pushing anything. I'm not forcing people to eat or not eat it. And this is funny to me because I avoid most dairy most of the time, not because of the health impact, personally because of the environmental impact, which is very firmly established. It's disproportionate. But the videos are not about my decisions. They're not about me. They're about the evidence that we have of a health effect of different foods, so you can have that information and make your own informed choices. There's something very interesting about social media that makes it very angry, right? It's very visceral. I think it's the lack of eye to eye. Like, you can see my eyes, but I can't see your eyes. And so being in this vacuum of you're typing something and the person can't see you, something about that brings out aggression. There's a lack of human connection there. There's some very interesting psychological phenomenon. You're not a scientist. You're just a pretty face. That's why people watch you, but you're wrong about everything. Everything. Now, this one is like flattering and hurtful at the same time. It's like an abusive relationship. It's actually super easy to engage scientists if you're trying to initiate a dialogue with a creator who's a scientist. That's assuming that you're trying to talk to them. If you're just trying to vent, then yeah, you just bang out some angry comment and it's cathartic, right? And you're done. But if you're actually trying to engage someone with a scientific background, it's super easy. You just talk about evidence. That's our kryptonite. So you say, hey, you said this in your video, but I heard that study XYZ shows this other thing. Is that true? How do you reconcile that? That is like bait for scientists. Scientists, if we see the comment, because we can't read every comment, much less answer every comment, but that's the type of comment that a scientist will notice and will get us, because we're kind of OCD about knowing every little detail and everything being right. And so if we see that, we'll try to make sure to go look at the study if we are not familiar with it, and often even try to respond. So I just gave you the code. That's how you get our attention. Here's how I lost those 40 pounds of chub, and I turned my blood work upside down. Here's how I did it. You can do it too. Check it out. I'll see you in there.